Hello, fellow gamers, and welcome to the Video Gamers Podcast. Sometimes the best part of gaming is just chatting with your gaming buddies about the latest news, upcoming game releases. Did somebody say Path of Exile 2? Or asking each other dumb video game related questions like, which evil villain are you most like? It's the fun, lighthearted chat that gamers know and love, and that's what we do in our side quest episodes. Before we get into the show, though, some introductions are in order. I am your host, Josh, and joining me, I think if I mention Path of Exile 2 one more time, he might just have me committed. It's Ryan.
Wait, what's this game? I've never heard of it.
Oh, that's the worst thing you could ever say.
You've never said anything to me at all about Path of Exile 2.
Okay, listen, you're an excitable feller, just like I am. And the fact that you are not as excited as I am is driving me insane. I am sending you videos. I am trying to hype you. And I just don't know if it's like the Diablo coursing through your veins or what it is, but I feel like I am failing miserably. And I don't like this, man. I need you to be like, yes, Path of Exile 2.
I'm sure I will at some point, but Deckard Cain is like hovering over my shoulder,
but you're
like,
not,
no.
Ryan, and you should be. And it's why? Why won't you join me?
I may or may not intentionally not be watching those videos just so I don't get hyped up because I know I will.
No. I need you hyped, Ryan.
I
feel so alone.
Don't even act like I won't be there. The
second
you hop in, I'll be like,
the point. I know you're going to join in, and then you're going to be like, whoa, this is awesome. But I need somebody to make me not feel crazy about my hype level for this game.
No, I do think you should feel crazy, but
okay, maybe.
But I think it's justifiable.
All right, that's fair. Well, don't worry, everybody. We're going to talk about Path of Exile 2 here in just a little bit. But first, Ryan, we do have a little bit of housekeeping to do. We have another new supporter of the show.
Love it.
Goodness. The support has been pouring in. Man, we can't thank y'all enough. Like, honestly, we've been doing this for years now. Like, legitimately for years now. We pour our hearts and souls into this. We spend a lot of time trying to bring people the best content that we can bring them. We really prioritize this podcast over a lot of other things in life. And I mean, we do it because we love it. Don't get me wrong. But to see people like enjoy what we put out to the world and then want to be a part of that and kind of support this podcast really does mean the world to us. So anytime we always get an email that says, hey, so-and-so has signed up.
Yep.
And you and I
love them.
It doesn't matter how many times.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter how many people. Every single time that happens, you and I instantly like message each other on Discord and we're like, dude, you see that we got a new supporter?
We got another one. It's the same as the first one. However many we have is the same as the first. We're excited every single time, and it feels the same every single time. You see that email little notification come through on our phones, and we're like, oh yeah, and we just, like you said, start texting each other like, look, we got another one, blah blah blah, or look, we got this review. Where it's everyone out there that listens and appreciates what we do. It really does mean so much to us.
Yeah, it's really hard to voice the feeling that we get from people enjoying this podcast and, like I said, wanting to be a part of it and stuff like that. So a huge thank you to new supporter Raven, who signed up with rare status. Raven, I don't know if you're on our Discord. I don't think you are. So if you aren't, click the link in the episode description. Come on in, say hi. We got an awesome community. We'd love to thank you there as well. But thank you for supporting the show. And listen, if you want to be like Raven or all the other people that help make this podcast possible, you can head over to multiplayersquad.com right now. You can pause the episode. We won't get upset. Go sign up, come on back, and you'll get a shout out too on a future episode as well. Ryan, you mentioned we love reviews.
We do.
We do love us some reviews. We've had some really good reviews rolling in lately too. I'll tell you what, man, the listeners have been on point lately.
They're good. They're dialed in, man.
It is funny because they really are. So at this point, it's just like, dang, man, they keep one-upping each other. But if you leave us a review on Apple, there is a very good chance we're going to read it on the show. Like this one that comes in from Judicium7. And it says, a great gaming podcast by some truly genuine dudes. I have been listening to the Video Gamers podcast for a number of years now, dating back to the days when they were the multiplayer gaming podcast. There honestly is no gaming podcast like this. The humility, genuineness, humor, and perfect touch of nerdiness of Josh and Ryan are the perfect mix. Not only is the podcast incredibly enjoyable, but it is also family friendly. No worrying about cussing and grotesque language coming from these gents. Every time I see a new episode has dropped, I start thinking about how soon I can start listening. When Paul, the previous host, had to step down, I couldn't imagine how difficult it was going to be to continue this as a two-man operation. I can honestly say Josh and Ryan have done an outstanding job keeping the quality and genuine feel of this podcast going. Josh and Ryan, you should both be incredibly proud of what you have done with the Video Gamers podcast.
I agree 100%.
There was a lot of uncertainty when Paul came to us and said, "Hey, guys, I can't keep doing this." But we had so much support from people in the community and that listened to the podcast. We kept things going. And I'll be honest, man, I feel like we're in a really good groove. It's that kind of like that sigh of relief to say, "Hey, we can do this." And keep this thing going. We're having a blast. It's still growing. Everybody's been so supportive. So thank you, everybody out there. Thank you, Jujisium7, for leaving that review, because they make our day.
Yeah. Oh, these every time, like we said before, like these ones, whenever we see them come in, they always brighten us up, and it just gives us that juice to keep going. I know when we were talking about if we were going to keep doing this, we're like, let's do it. If they hate us and all the listeners, plummet and we don't, they don't like us anymore, then maybe we'll pass on. But it just kept going. Everybody kept chugging along, and the downloads kept growing. So we love it, and we're gonna keep on keeping on.
Yeah, we really are. Like I said, we've been having a blast, and we love the support, and we hope that everybody out there enjoys this. So, all right, Ryan, enough of this mushy stuff here. Yeah. Let's get into this episode. We've got ourselves a side quest episode. These are fun, man. They're just a little bit of random stuff that we love to talk about, some questions that we kind of ask ourselves about games and just each other and life in general. We always like to start these off with, just a general question. Ryan, what have you been playing lately?
What are you up to? What are you doing, man?
Yeah.
So, aside from Soccer 2, we're obviously playing that for the deep dive coming up, and we will keep our thoughts on that hidden until that episode. But Astrobot?
What, are you back into Astrobot?
Well, here's the deal, bud. Here's the deal. They released their time trials so you could do, like, speed runs.
Oh,
so I've been maybe diving in a little bit to doing speed runs and trying to figure out how the heck these guys do. I'm doing everything I can to try to beat their times or get even close, and they're killing it in like 35.4 seconds, and I'm at like 39, and I'm like, how are they shaving off these extra seconds? And there's just I just can't do it, but I just can't help myself from trying.
4 seconds seems like an eternity when you're like, dude, I just nailed that level. And then you realize you're 4 seconds away and you're like, how? How are you doing this?
It's like, what more shortcuts? There's this one on this one level where you have to laser the seal in the water that shoots you up. And so then you can like laser again and not have to use like an ice. You get like 3 ice packs you can use to slide across. And then you have to do that so you can take the other 3 shortcuts. And if you can't get that, there's no way you're going to beat it. But it's like the hardest thing to do in the world. It's unreal. Like I tried it for like 2 or 3 hours with my son, and we just could not get it dialed in. He's a little more emotional than me when we play games, and so he was very, very frustrated. He's like, "Dad, let's do something else. I can't do this anymore." I'm like, "All right, bud, we can move on." But it's time trials when they're short get me. Because if I can flip and turn it over within a minute or two, I'll just keep trying it over and over and over. If it's like a long extended thing, I probably won't do it. But it's short time trials are like my jam.
Dude, you should look into a game called Neon White that is legitimately the entire game is just that. And almost every single level you can beat in under 60 seconds, but it's all about time trials.
Okay.
And it will show you the ghost of like other people.
Oh, that's awesome.
While you're trying to do it to kind of see how they went about it and stuff too. That game's a lot of fun, man. And it's got a lot of neat mechanics to it. And you get like these little gun cards. So you have to like kill enemies during the level as well. So it's like not only are you trying to do the platforming part, but you have to like whip around in like mid jump and like shoot a guy that's off to the side. And so it's super fun. You should, if you like time trial type stuff, dude, Neon White would be right up your alley. It's nowhere near as good of a game as Astrobot, but if that part of things like entices you, that game would be something you'd enjoy.
I don't need any more of that.
Yeah, I know, right? So I have, it's funny because I've kind of been in my comfort zone with gaming. We are playing Stalker 2. We're going to record that episode actually in a few more days. And so we're getting kind of close to the end of our playtime with that. And then I'm still in the Overwatch train. We've had a bunch of friends that have been playing. So almost nightly we have 3 or 4 people on playing, and that's been a lot of fun.
I'm resisting. I'm trying hard.
I see your son playing, man, and I keep wondering, like, I wonder when Ryan's going to be like, "Hey guys, I'd hop in with you."
I told you at Pickleball, I was watching him play for a minute because he got a player of the game, and then I was watching another match of his, and seeing those skulls pop up, I'm like, "Ooh, okay, oh, yeah." Like that, I know that feeling. I'm like,
it doesn't. Dude, Ace, a good friend of the show, Ace of Shame's been playing with us. He's brand new to Overwatch. He's been playing for literally a week, and that is it. And so our group is like very widespread. So come join us, Ryan.
All right.
Join us.
Join us. Come this way. Like Homer on the couch. Join us.
Yeah, exactly. And then I kind of mentioned this the other day too, but I have been playing Hearthstone again. I need like a chill game to play when I'm eating a snack or kind of doing something on the side, and Hearthstone's been kind of filling that role for me. I'm gonna mention Hearthstone again here in a little bit on one of these questions. So. All right. And then we did want to kind of update people on the remaining schedule for the year, because we always take a 2-week break over Christmas to spend time with our families and just kind of decompress a little bit. So this sounds crazy for the year, but we're almost done for the year. We have our Stalker 2 episode, which is going to come out Monday. Then we have our infamous Game of the Year, end of the year episode. Paul is joining us for that episode.
I'm so excited.
We were all chatting about the different categories that we're going to award, the different games and stuff like that. So I'm super hyped for that one. It's always one of our most popular episodes, so be on the lookout for that one. If I have my dates right, that's going to come out on December 12th, if I remember correctly. So it'll be in place of a Thursday episode. But man, I'm hyped for that one. And then we always come back after New Year's, which another episode that is an absolute favorite of mine, which is the most anticipated games of the year episode, where we get to get hyped all over again for all the games that are coming out in 2025. And man, there's some really good ones coming out early in the year. But then there's going to be some crazy ones coming out later in the year too that I think people are forgetting about. So that episode's going to be a lot of fun as well. Speaking of games, Ryan, December, we're at the end of the year.
We are.
We've got a couple games coming out pretty soon that this
late in the year, huh?
Yeah, I know, right? One is a little game. We really haven't mentioned this very much on this show, especially in the last week or two, so I feel like we're doing a disservice for people. But that's a little game called Path of Exile 2 that comes out December 6th, so the day after this episode. Have you heard of that, Ryan?
Not too many people have been mentioning it. It's maybe it's my circle I'm with. I don't know.
Kind of, it might be like, I don't know if some people consider it like an indie game or something like that, but
just like a blatant copy and kind of remake of a superior game. I don't know.
How dare you? I was gonna try to let that slide, Ryan.
I wish everyone could have seen Josh's face. That was strictly for him. Him and me, just so I could see his reaction.
Listen, people have been hearing me gush about Path of Exile 2. I've been posting on social media about it. I'm not going to spend the next 10 minutes talking about this game. All I'm going to say is, trust me. Trust me when I get very, very hyped about a game. This game is going to be way better than I think people are giving it credit for. I've been watching a ton of videos on this from a lot of different content creators, and almost universally, they are all saying that this is going to be a kind of genre-changing game, and that gamers will be talking about this for a long time, kind of like they've been doing with Elden Ring and Baldur's Gate 3. And I've heard this from multiple different content creators, that there's something very, very special about Path of Exile 2. That's all I'm going to say. It's coming out in early access, so it is $30 to pick up the early access. If you can wait, then the game will ultimately be free to play when it does release in about a year. But the early access gets you about 25 to 30 hours worth of campaign content, and then a lot more end game content that they've been focusing on after that. This is very similar to like Diablo, so it's that action RPG thing. I'm going to leave it there. Just trust me. Watch some footage. I am so beyond hyped for this game at this point. I cannot wait. But if you've been listening to this podcast for a while, we don't do this lightly, where we really, get a game very hyped up. And as much as it's bugging me that Ryan's just looking at me with this blank face, I'm telling you, man, this game's going to be fantastic. So that's it. That's all I'm going to say. All right. And then crazy, oddly enough, because I, in my hype for Path of Exile 2, completely forgot that this game is coming out the exact same day.
You forgot.
Marvel Rivals is coming out. Now, Marvel Rivals, famously, when they showed off gameplay, everybody went, this is just Overwatch with superheroes.
Yeah.
And did you ever play any of it, Ryan? They had the beta for a little bit, but I don't think you had a chance to when the beta was out.
I don't think I was able to get into the beta, but I know you talked glowingly about it so far with what you played, and from what I saw, it looks pretty good.
It is pretty good, man. Yeah. It's very hard for me with somebody that's got 1,700 hours in Overwatch to not compare any kind of hero shooter to Overwatch.
Yep.
By nature. And obviously there's a lot of comparisons with Marvel Rivals, but I will say that I had a very good time playing this game during the open beta that they had. And it's very polished. It's a lot of fun. The characters feel unique. It's easy to pick up, kind of hard to master, which is what a hero shooter should be in that regard. So I would highly recommend people at least giving it a try, because I had a lot of fun with it. And I'm really looking forward to it releasing on December 6th as well. I'll be honest, I'm not going to play it for a little while because I'm going to be so wrapped up in Path of Exile.
A little busy.
It is a fun game. I do have some hands-on experience with it, and I would give it a recommend from what I got to play with it. Ryan, one more game. And I know you're excited about this game. So this is your moment, Ryan.
Indie.
Yeah. Indiana Jones and the Great Circle is coming out December 9th. So is only a few days away. We got a recent game kind of like release trailer. So it was a new trailer showing off some of the gameplay and a little bit more of the story. Ryan, I feel like you are way more excited for Indiana Jones than I am. So the roles are reversed now. So I'm going to stare at you blankly while you tell me why you're so excited about this game.
I think it's hard because I don't know if you're not like an Indiana Jones fan or a history buff, it may not resonate as well with you. But I'm such a nerd with history and archaeology to where just that setting and environment does something for me. So playing a game like that, if the combat and the world is kind of subpar, then I'm a happy guy. So I'm hoping that that's what we get. From what we saw today, when we recorded this, that was released, it looks pretty good. So fingers crossed, it's not going to be game of the year. It's not something outstanding or amazing, but I just hope that it's a really solid game that just is a lot of fun and something I can enjoy.
I will say, especially from the trailer that they literally just released, that showed off a little bit more of the gameplay and stuff, it did get me a little bit more excited for this game because they show you interacting with, like, you're down in a dungeon or like, an old ruins or something, and you're trying to figure out like this puzzle, and there's these spinning platforms that you actually wind up jumping on. And trying not to fall off and stuff. So a little bit more like the controls and the action part of the game was showcased a little bit. And it kind of made me feel like okay, this actually looks pretty cool, man. Like he's using his whip in different ways that they hadn't shown before. And it looks like you're actually trying to make your way through these old ruins that you might have discovered. And it kind of gave me that indie feel that I wanted from like an Indiana Jones game. Very reminiscent of like the opening to Raiders of the Lost Ark, where he's running from the boulder and stuff like that. So this is weird because I'm not going to play this game.
Yeah.
Like it's just, I know in my brain that I'm going to get busy with other stuff. The holidays are going to get here. Yeah. The new, it's going to be 2025 and games are going to be releasing. And this is one of those games that for me will just kind of go by the wayside, but I'll always go like, I wonder if that's a good game, or I'll watch a review or something and be like, oh, cool. But I'll just never get to experience this game. And I want it to be good. You know, so I'm kind of hoping that you play it maybe, and then you can, I can live vicariously through you.
I'll let you know, brother.
So, all right, listen, we've got some fun questions to get into, but we do have to take a short break before we get that. So we will be right back. All right, Ryan, we're back. That kind of wraps up the updates and news portion for this episode. Let's have a little bit of fun, Ryan. We always like to ask some of these questions and chat games and things like that. Ryan, what's a game that you used to love, but you just can't stand anymore?
Oh, man, this is hard because as gamers, we develop, I think, like a bond or a connection to a game you love. Like it's especially if it's one that means a lot to you, you'll defend it, to the death, like it's a child or something, So I unfortunately, with thousands of hours in Destiny, I just can't do it anymore, man. As much as I loved that game, and as much as I think it's one of the purest, just straight shooters that is so crisp, they just did too much wrong to justify the right, and it's just something I don't even touch anymore, and it makes me sad. But that's one that's just off the shelf.
Was it the commercialization? Was it the expansions and did you feel like it was just money grabs? Was it?
I think it was a lot of money grabs. They got into microtransactions. They started doing things to where it wasn't as much, about the story and the progression as it is just like getting people to play, getting people to go on and stream. It was all about Twitch and everything else. So it kind of went the way of, like Fortnite or anything else, to where it was more about not the game, but all the commercialization of it. And that's just really, it just turned me off so much. And it just wasn't what it was prior that I loved so much about it. And it breaks my heart, but yeah, it's dead to me.
It's weird because I have played Destiny 2. We did a deep dive on it. I never played the original Destiny. I can understand why people love the game. I mean, I definitely had a good time with it. I had my complaints about kind of some of the bloat at the point where we did the deep dive on it.
Uh-huh.
But even for somebody that wasn't really into it, it's weird because from the outside, if I had to guess, I would say it's like I feel like they lost their passion for the game, and it just became a business like moneymaker. And so like the passion that they originally had just wasn't there anymore. And it was more about, we need to ship this expansion. We need people to buy this stuff. And I feel like they just kind of lost their way. I could be wrong, but it doesn't sound like it. But from an outside perspective, that's kind of what it felt like for somebody that wasn't directly involved.
That's very fair. No, that's a very fair assessment. I would agree.
Well, I mentioned, Ryan, you got to witness a rare Josh rage session the other day.
Rare?
I mean, okay, semi-rare. Uncommon? We'll go
there
uncommon.
We'll go uncommon, yeah. Uncommon rage.
Freaking Hearthstone, man. I played so much Hearthstone back in the day. It was one of my favorite games for a very long time. Battlegrounds came out, drew me back in. And then I got really, really mad at Blizzard for everything and uninstalled Overwatch and Hearthstone and all that for probably a solid 6 to 8 months, if not longer. And then I got sucked back into Overwatch. I'm not going to lie, I'm having a lot of fun with that. And then I kind of went, well, I mean, I could probably give Hearthstone a try again. And I was having some fun with it. Here's the problem. I am a super competitive person, and I am the kind of person where difficulty like rings true for me, which is why I love like Elden Ring. I want to be the person that fails. I don't want RNG. So I don't want randomness to affect the outcome for me, because I get really frustrated at that. And the other day I was playing Hearthstone, and it was like the worst bad luck you could possibly imagine. And I raged in our private, we have a private, like for friends, Discord server. And I went off for probably 5 minutes, wrote up this giant paragraph of why this is the stupidest game ever. And I can't stand that randomness comes into play, especially in a competitive game where I have like a rating that's involved in all this stuff. And after 5 minutes of just raging, finally was like, I hate this game. And then I came back like 2 minutes later and I was like, you know what, man? I'm uninstalling this crap. And then I backed it up with a screenshot showing that I had uninstalled. And so, yeah, that's my answer for this one. Like, forget you, Hearthstone. Stupid game. I remember why I uninstalled you the first time now. Yeah, but also it's a fun game. So if you don't mind randomized stuff affecting the outcome that you had no control over either. So that's all I got to say about that.
That's all there is about that.
Yeah. All right. Well, I feel my blood pressure going up.
I know, right? Man. Like, all right, moving on.
Yeah, moving on. All right, Ryan. So here's a good one. Taking a look at our leaderboard, what's a hidden gem that you'd recommend to somebody that they might not either be aware of or haven't played, or you think just deserves a mention as a reminder for people to say, hey, don't sleep on this game?
So this one was a little hard because, typically really good games get really good recognition most of the time. So it's hard to find those hidden gems or ones that people really haven't gone out and tried or haven't got enough publicity to bring people in. So I'm going to go with one that was pretty recent, and it's an older game, but it was by far one of the best experiences I've had gaming. Part of it was because it was with you guys, you and Paul. This was a Force a Friend that we did back in the day with Paul, and he made me play Heavy Rain, which was just one of these, like, choose your own adventure. You are picking what you do. Your main guys, or a few of them, can die pretty dang early if you don't make the right choices, and certain things you can do can just totally change the outcome of the story and the way you progress. It's just one of those games that there's so many layers to it, and there's so many levels, and it's just absolutely amazing. I personally, somebody who is big in gaming, I know I get usually kind of stuck in my track of what I'm playing in the moment. But I haven't heard a lot of people talk about this. And so if you can, Heavy Rain is a game that you should definitely try out. It's not super duper long. It's something you can play. I wouldn't play it around kids, but it's heavy, but it's a really, really good game that I would recommend to anybody, any adult that is that wants to play just a solid, amazing story, amazing campaign, awesome gameplay. Like, there's some just really cool features. It is a little dated, but it doesn't take away from how you play the game. So that's mine. I loved it.
It is one of those experiences that it's a very memorable game. Where
forever.
Anybody that has played Heavy Rain will go like, oh man, that game is insane. And it is one of those ones that leaves you thinking about it even after you play it. What's crazy is when we did our deep dive on it, we had a lot of people that picked it up, and almost universally people were like, dude, this game is insane.
Yeah.
And it's so memorable. Like I'm so glad that I played this, because I can't believe I had been missing out on this experience. So it is one of those experiences that everybody should have. So I'm with you on that one for sure. For me, this is a game that we played way back in the day. Well, I don't want to say way back, but a couple years ago, we really had no idea what to expect. And it's a game called The Forgotten City. So this is basically like a mod that came about from Skyrim. And you can definitely feel the influence on that. And then it got turned into a fully fledged game, but it's just so good, man. And I have never heard anybody except for us on this podcast talk about it. It involves a time loop. It involves these really neat moral choices. So the premise, this is not spoilery, but the premise is that you find these old ruins, and then you get teleported back in time. And in this city, it is this utopia that exists where if anybody commits a sin, the entire city will be destroyed. And so it is a society that is trying to live together without anybody doing anything wrong. And as you start to play the game, things go wrong. And your job is to kind of figure out what happens, but you get in this time loop where the game will reset every time something happens to go wrong. And so through playing this game, you start to learn a little bit more about the people and what's going on and the mystery and the kind of intrigue behind it and how can you stop this crime from happening. And it is such a neat game that is so well executed that, again, kind of like Heavy Rain, like I will always remember playing Forgotten City just because of how unique it was and how fun it was. And it just is very well done. The time loop is done well, but the sense of like mystery and discovery and like, how do I stop this from happening?
Yeah.
And trying like 20 different ways and then slowly figuring out the little snippets of like the, little breadcrumbs that they give you to kind of lead you in the right direction was honestly flawless in my opinion. So highly recommend looking that up. Again, it's called The Forgotten City. So
that's one that I actually haven't checked out. I mean, I'm too busy playing just repurchased modes of Skyrim. But I mean, it's over almost 9,000 reviews on Steam, and it's overwhelmingly positive. Everything, it's got all these crazy out of the world reviews. So it's wild how you get these games that are reviewed so well, they just don't track to kind of grow big time. But yeah,
never heard a single person mention this game. Not on social media, not anywhere.
No.
And not that we have exclusiveness to this, but it's like it's one of those games where, again, we're talking about hidden gems. Forgotten City is well worth it. It's probably a 10-hour game total. And what's the price? Do you still have it pulled up? What's the price on Steam?
I do. $8.74 right now. It's actually 65% off.
Yeah. Are you kidding me? For under $10?
So it is. For. I don't know how many more hours this is, but 65% off. It's $8.74.
Dude, just go pick that game up right now.
Yeah,
because it's fantastic, man. It is.
You can
such
get the
a unique
bundle.
Experience.
The bundle is $13.25.
Oh, I don't know what the bundle.
So I don't know. Yeah,
I don't know if they'd bundle
digital collector's edition. I guess there was a little bit of DLC, but and then some music or whatever. But yeah, overall, I mean, it looks awesome, and if it's kind of based off Skyrim, you're gonna have a good kind of base there. So.
Absolutely. Yeah, it was a mod that I don't know if it's a fan-made mod or what, but yeah, go check that out.
Has there been any other, I mean, other than maybe Grand Theft Auto, like that's modded as much as Elder Scrolls?
No, I don't think so.
It's just, a dedicated community,
because then you have like Gary's mod, which was, isn't Gary's mod a Half-Life mod though? I can't remember. I've never played Gary's mod. I've seen it a bunch, and I know that's one of the most like millions of copies sold kind of thing. But I'll be honest, I don't remember what that's tied to. So, all right, Ryan, here's a host question for you. What's the luckiest thing that's ever happened to you?
Well,
you can't say meeting your wife or any of that stuff because that's too cheesy. So,
well, speaking of cheesy, I'd say. If it wasn't for bad luck, I'd have no luck at all. No. Man, I guess personally, I'm not a big time advocate of luck. I think you kind of make your own luck.
Okay.
So I'm not one of those. I don't believe in chance or these things. I think, when people yell at me, oh, you shouldn't have said that, when a sports game's happening, and I'm like, oh yeah, because I influenced the game 2,000 miles away, blah, blah, blah. I'm not a big superstition guy at all. And I come from hockey, and those are some of the biggest superstition guys you'd ever meet in your life. But it's not for me. So I'm not a big luck guy. I would say anything that I've done or had happen most of the time is because I put in the effort or tried. Some things happen just because they happen.
You never won like a contest or something free or anything like that?
Dude, Not that I can think of.
Really?
I mean,
Okay.
I won some money on a scratcher once. I mean,
Okay, there you go. That's
nothing crazy or big. I don't know, anything that I do, I go into it and I put full bore into it and I'm focused on that. And that's maybe my ADHD brain, but that's what I'm focused on and that's what I'm directed towards. So anything that happens is because I was working towards it. And so I'm not, the luck part is not in my brain, but I'm sure.
That's crazy because I once found a bag on the highway that had $50,000 in it. So no, I'm just kidding. I did.
Well, don't say it on the radio, dude.
No, I'm kidding. I'll be honest. Like, I'm kind of with you in that sense that I don't know if maybe I'm just not very lucky, but it's like we've never had anything like in that, like that where it's like, oh, I found 20 grand or something.
Yeah.
My wife won some tickets to Cirque du Soleil when they came to Phoenix one time, and they were like nice. $80 tickets. And so I remember it was like a local news station. Then you had to comment on a Facebook post or something, and she did. And then they actually like messaged her and were like, "Hey, you won these tickets. You can come pick them up." And my wife was like, "We won tickets," and it was like, they were good seats. They're probably like $200 worth.
Yeah.
And so, but that's like the only thing that could come to mind for me is like, And I know that sounds like it's kind of a negligible thing, but I'm with you in the sense that it's like, I think your outlook on life kind of affects, that like your luck. In a sense, but it's like, I'm not a gambler, even though I know you love gambling. And I know a lot of people will say, oh, well, I had good luck tonight. And I know there's a lot of strategy behind like betting and blackjack and stuff like that too. So yeah, winning free tickets is about the luckiest thing that I think's ever happened.
Actually, hold on. I want to take everything back I said. There's this one thing that happened one time. And this is probably why I'm still alive. I had a 91 convertible 5.0 Mustang when I was when I was 16 years old, but this accident happened when I was 18. I was headed down the road. I was in the left lane of a 3-lane, just main street. A commercial tow truck pulled left in front of me. And I luckily, this is the part where kind of the luck versus you make your own luck type thing. I was able to turn and kind of get in front of him enough to where the front of his car or the truck kind of caved in the side of mine and it shot me off all the way onto the curb. And I wasn't hurt. I wasn't injured. I was good to go. If I had not done that, I would 100% have driven under the flatbed tow truck and it would have took the whole top of my car off and I probably wouldn't be here today. So you want to call that luck, divine intervention, or skill, whatever. But that's one that came to mind, aside from everything else. But that may be considered luck. I'll take it.
All right. I'll take it too, because it means you're here doing this podcast with us.
There we go.
All right, Ryan. Let's talk about the year as a whole. We've got our end of the year episode coming up.
Yes.
On a scale of 1 to 10, how would you rate 2024 as a whole for gaming?
This is a pretty good year.
This is a tough question. This is a tough question.
This is a tough one because it's like, where do you put that at? I mean, we had a ton of games this year, and I remember when we were talking the end of last year, we're like, man, I don't know what's going to come out. We'll be able to get to our backlogs. That was a joke. Like that didn't happen, and so,
Let me do this, Ryan. Let me name a few games.
List them off. Let's hear what there is.
So we had Space Marine 2.
Yes.
We had Stellar Blade, which I never got to play, but I'm still very interested in. We had Senua's Saga Hellblade 2 come out. We had Pal World that released and took the world by storm. We had Helldivers 2, which came out very early in the year, which really took the world by storm. We had Dragon's Dogma 2, which we were super hyped for. We had Elden Ring Shadow of the Erdtree, which, famously people said shouldn't be up for a Game of the Year nomination, but it released this year. I thought that game was absolutely fantastic. We had Black Myth Wukong, which we had been following since the day it was announced. Balatro, which, again, talk about a game that took the world by storm.
It's an awesome cult. I love it.
I mean, honestly, I might actually pick up Balatro here. I don't own it, and I need a card game to play. And since I hate Hearthstone now, I think I'm thinking about.
You're gonna make
Balatro.
Steve very happy.
I'm not gonna lie. And then we had Astrobot, which kind of came out of nowhere.
Yep.
I mean, there's just the list goes on and on. We have Star Wars Outlaws that we almost didn't play and then wound up playing, and it was better than we thought. I'm not going to bring up Dragon Age Veilguard because we didn't like that game, even though we were excited for its release. I mean, there's been a lot of games that I know that we have been excited for that have come out. Not all of them have met the hype level that we had for them, but it feels like it's been a pretty strong year.
I think it has, especially for something that we didn't think was going to be that outstanding. From what we got, I mean, and gosh, there was a bunch more that was slated for the end of this year that got moved, that we didn't even get. So next year's looking great, but as far as this year goes, I mean, I'm going to put it at a solid 8.5. I think that there was some great games that really shot this score up this year that are honestly all-timers. Astrobot is just such a dang good game. I keep getting sucked back into that stinking thing, and there's so many like you listed and couple downers that bring it down a little bit, but I think it was definitely an above average year overall.
I'm with you. I will say that sometimes the hype. I feel like there's a lot of games, and again, this might be just a personal fault. I get very excited very easy, and it's funny because. It's funny because I literally I was telling my wife about Path of Exile 2 on Friday. I'm like, baby, don't expect anything from me. I'm totally not a dad or husband this weekend. I've been looking forward to this game for a week now because I just realized how good it looks, And she laughed at me and she said, "You say that like every other week." She's like, "What's that Stalker game that you said you were super excited for?" And it's like, "Oh yeah, well I was excited for that." And so I'm an excitable guy. Yeah, exactly. So again, this might be a little bit of personal, issue, but like I do feel like there were some games that I was very excited about that I was slightly disappointed in. Now, that doesn't mean that they weren't great games, but like Dragon's Dogma 2, I was hoping was going to be like the next Witcher 3.
That's where my brain went,
is a perfectly good video game, it wasn't what I was hoping it was going to be. Black Myth Wukong, phenomenal game, up for Game of the Year. It was just missing a little bit of something for me where it was still a really good game, but not quite what I wanted it to be. But then we had Astrobot, which came out of nowhere that was way better than it had any right to be. So I'm going to give it an 8. I'm actually just slightly under you because I do feel like it was a very, very strong year for video games. Helldivers 2, in my opinion, and Astrobot are what are carrying this for me.
Yeah. For sure.
Otherwise, I would give it like a 7 and just call it good, but not great. But those two games, I think, really bump it up a whole point, in my opinion. So, all right, Ryan, we're running low on time. We got to end things with a food question, dude.
Oh,
and we have a kind of a little holiday food question here. We're gonna play a little game of good or garbage. It's the holiday food edition. So I'm going to list a food, and then you just tell me whether you think it's good or you think it's garbage. And we don't have to explain if you don't want to, but we'll just leave it at that.
I feel like you made this just for me. Did you do this just for me?
I didn't. I actually tried to think of like what holiday foods were. And I mean, I don't want to say ham because it's like, dude, ham's delicious and everybody just had ham for Thanksgiving. So I tried to keep it a little bit more like Christmas oriented.
Okay.
The problem is, it's a lot of like sugar, and I know that you're not the biggest fan of sugar, so but it made me also realize that it's like, are there any Christmas foods that are like salty?
Doesn't seem so.
No, it doesn't seem so. All right, so first up, Ryan, eggnog.
Garbage
for me too.
Garbage, yeah. It's too thick and just meh.
Thick, sweet. My wife loves eggnog.
Yeah.
What's really weird about eggnog is I like the first sip of eggnog. I always go, ooh, like, yeah, that's pretty good. Enough. And then I don't want any more of it after that.
Okay, so that's okay. That feeling, that's how I am with like sweets and ice cream and stuff. So my wife will get McFlurry or any sort of ice cream or a milkshake. I'll take one bite, and if it's a little too big, I go, it's just too much. And so like the little bit is good, but after that it's too much. And so that's exactly how I feel.
Okay. Because I can't imagine drinking an entire glass of eggnog, but that sip is good. I'm like, okay, that was tasty. But
even if it gets you drunk, I'm like, nope, no, thank you.
That helps me kind of understand your take on sweets there. So, well, another sweets, Ryan, carrot cake.
Garbage.
Nah, carrot cake's good, dude.
Nah.
Carrot cake is so underrated, man, because the seasoning, like the spices, like that's like behind carrot cake is great. Peppermint bark. So for people that don't know, this is chocolate with crushed up peppermints on it, I guess. A very, very popular thing. Garbage for me. I can't stand peppermint. And I don't like plain chocolate either. So those two just ruin each. Candy canes.
So that follows suit. Garbage.
Garbage for me. I don't know why anybody likes candy canes. Even the fruity flavored ones. Like somebody went, peppermint sucks. Let's make some fruity. And I'm still like, these are garbage.
No, yeah, they got watermelon and all those other ones. No, thank you.
Yeah, no, thank you. Gingerbread.
Garbage.
Oh, gingerbread's so good, dude.
Nah,
so now I'm not talking the cheesy gingerbread houses that come like they're 3 years
in
stale.
that box that are like 4 years old.
No, I'm not. That is not. I don't even know that you're supposed to eat those things because that is garbage.
Decoration
but actual
only.
like good gingerbread, like or ginger snaps. Oh man, it's so amazing. All right, and then finally, Ryan, fudge.
Garbage.
Garbage for me. I don't like fudge. I don't like plain chocolate. I love chocolate in stuff or like as a base for things. Like give me a Reese's cup. Oh man. But just plain soft chocolate does not do it for me at all.
That's why I laughed because you sent me this and Josh does a lot of the outlines for the shows. And so I was looking over the food questions and I'm like, he made this just for me because I was like, garbage. I mean,
I think a lot of these are garbage too. So. Oh, man. All right. Well, listen, I think that does it for this episode, Ryan. We're kind of right on time there. So just wanted to remind everybody, if you enjoy the podcast and you haven't done so already, make sure you follow us in your podcast app. It's either a plus button or a subscribe button, but that way you get all of our episodes the day that they release. It also helps us in the rankings and the algorithm, so make sure you do that. If you are not in our Discord server, you are missing out. What a phenomenal group of gamers. Just today, we had another person that said, hey, I've been listening for years. I figured I'd finally pull the trigger.
Yep.
Joins the server, chatting video games. Everybody's super welcoming. It's not fake like nicety. It really is just genuine gamers that love chatting games with people and stuff like that. So if you're not in our Discord server, click the link in the episode description and join us. It is family friendly. It's an awesome place to be for sure. You can follow us on socials at Video Gamers Pod. I've been posting a lot about Path of Exile too, so you don't want to miss that. And if you want to help support the show, if you want to keep this thing rolling and growing and being awesome, you can do that over at multiplayersquad.com. You can sign up. It's very easy to sign up. You can sign up for as little as $5 a month. I did some math. I think that's like 20 cents a day.
What?
You know, I'm not a mathematician, so don't hold me to that. I'm sure there's somebody that's going, that's not right. You know,
what is that? That's basically like what, 70 cents an episode?
I don't know, man. I'm just going to agree with whatever you say because I'm not doing the math right now. But basically, it's next to nothing, and it really does help keep this show going, and we really do appreciate it as well. Our next episode is Stalker 2. I know we've been playing that a lot. We've had a lot of people asking us about it, so that's going to be a great episode. That comes out Monday, so be on the lookout for that one. And that's it. So until next time, happy gaming.
See ya!